Dear Lord, we thank you for another opportunity we have to come together, to shed some light, to love on each other, and be able to reach somebody. So bless this podcast, bless this episode. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. If I call you bro, that means I love you, bro. That means I'll go to war with you.
Fire, baby.
The reason why you need to know your identity is because when you know who you are, people don't get to define it for you. When I tell you guys who you have in your circle is important.
You're listening to the Bros to Men podcast with Cameron Persad, Jeff T. Osborne, and Roy Rand.
Yo, what's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode here at Bros to Men. I'm excited for this episode, as I am always, where we give you content that inspires action. We're trying to reach somebody somewhere through a conversation where we just keep it real. Ain't that right, fellas?
Right, man. You gotta let them know, bro.
Come on. All right, so listen, in this episode, man, we're going to talk. Now, the reality is we're new to this podcast game, right? And being new to this podcast game, there are things that we're learning as we're coming in, and it's becoming something new for us. And we're figuring this out. And one of the things that we started talking about was just some of the challenges that we've been coming up against when we're looking at this podcast, right? So there's been a lot. This is the first time that we've been together, probably for a few months. Yeah. And life's been lifing in the best way. Not everything that's always going wrong, but man, I want to take a moment and kind of just, man, just catch up. Like, this is just real catching up. What's new in our lives? What's happening with where we are? And really just diving into this idea of this podcast and what's required. And I'll kind of launch it off with this idea that we were talking on the phone. And Cam, we were talking even just before we got here about the challenges of launching a podcast. Like, I got so much respect for all of these podcasters that are out there dropping consistently, because we don't do this full time, right? Like, this is we got
other endeavors.
We got families, we got commitments, we got businesses, women in our lives, and all these different things. And so, whether it's us traveling, whether it's meetings that we have, I mean, we almost even had a conversation, like, talk about that. I think it was probably you, Dips, it was you, Cam, that brought it up. You were like, yo, guys, we ain't been in here for a minute. Yeah. It's been a challenge. Like, what was that conversation? Share with everybody's watching.
That ain't what he said. I'm going to give you all the censored version of what the text really sounded like.
Cam said, I ain't this inconsistent in nowhere in my life. We need to pick this up now.
Man. No, you know what, Jeff? I love that opening, though, bro, because I think it really, this show, in my opinion, is like a great example of what figuring something out looks like. You know what I mean? Like, the idea is great. You have success. You gain traction, and then it disappears, right? Because life doesn't stop lifing while you got other stuff going on. You know what I mean? So I think I love the fact, and I salute you guys, and like you said, other podcasts out there that are in a similar situation, because it takes a lot of, like, tenacity. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes hours of traffic after days, after a long day of meetings and everything else you have going on, man. So I love this for us, honestly, bro, because to Dip's point, there was a moment where I was frustrated. I was like, yo, if we're not going to get this on track, let's drop it. You know what I mean? Because I could put that attention somewhere else. We can put that back into our families. If we're not going to treat this like a full-time job, because that's just how I roll. You know what I mean? And everything has to be at a high standard. You have to be consistent to get results. But despite of that conversation, we figured it out, and here we are, man. So I'm proud of us, bro.
Well, you said something, though. You were like, dog, I've never, like, when it comes to my name, I'm putting my name on it. And you said, I'll be damned if I put my name on something and we don't complete it. We don't follow through with this. And I think even in the same breath, it was right after that, Dips, you were like, nah, we got to figure this thing out. And even more so than that, it was kind of like this idea that says we could walk away. It could be comfortable for us to walk away. It could be convenient for us to walk away. But then in the back of my mind, I was like, man, it could be a lot easier. We ain't got to go through traffic. We can keep building what we're building, and maybe somewhere down the line. But then I'm like, yo, we got 11,000 subscribers right now.
Where they gonna go?
Like, where they gonna go? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like this is 11,000 people that say, yo, look, what you guys are dropping is blessing my life. The stories we've heard, like, it saved my life. It helped me make good decisions. And so then it was almost like this moment where it's like, yo, we've really built up a brand where people are looking towards us to bring them something. And in that moment, it was like, yo, either we gonna stop it or we gonna keep it going. And kind of like even the idea of saying like, man, we don't have to pretend like we got it all together. This show is about transparency, honesty. Shout out Solomon. I saw that on there. Like, yo, what we gonna talk about? Like in the lobby, it was like, yo, today's podcast, I want it to be about, and somebody had wrote in honesty and transparency.
Yeah.
And I feel like my goal for our podcast is the more and more we do our podcast, fellas, like my prayer is that it becomes even more authentic, more transparent. And that was just a real moment where it's easier for us to give up.
Yeah.
And it would have been more convenient to give up, but we chose, yo, like, let's figure out this schedule. Let's figure out, yo, fellas, this is our accountability date. What, like, when we even came to that conversation, Dips, when Cam got on our bumper about it, like, where was your mind at when you saw that text message? Because it came through text message. Yeah. And so y'all know, anytime something comes through text message, there's no tonality. Right. Like, and when you start seeing capital letters, and it's like, yo, bro, what you yelling at us for? And so how did you feel about it? Because I know I felt some type of way when Cam hit us.
Yeah.
But like this, what was your take on that, bro?
I guess the first thing I took was like some accountability because I'm like, man, I just want to figure it out for the bros. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like really take this to another level. Because everywhere I go in my life, maybe once or twice a week, I'll get that. You know, what's up with the pod? Like, or
where's the new episode at?
Big,
Y'all
like,
dropping?
hey, cut the clippers off. Like, hey, bro, some man's that you got to keep that going. Like, even if you're not locking in an episode right now, keep the IG going. And being that I'm newly in a relationship, I got a lot more going.
We're going to clap it up because my man was single for too long out here in these streets.
Hey! Won't he do it?
Come on now.
It's just figuring out the schedule more. I understand you guys more now that I'm in a relationship and I got the fitness stuff going. I'm like, okay, I understand your side. It's hard to like really lock in and be there because she's the most important thing to me in my life now. Right. So that, and then, but at the same time, my greatest power is attrition. Like,
okay, hold on, break that word down for those who.
Attrition is what turns rock to sand. You know, it's not, the water isn't super powerful when it hits the rock, but it hits it over and over and over. That consistency
that breaks it down.
And one thing that's part of consistency is not being consistent. It's getting off that track, but then getting back on it. And at the end of the day, as long as we figure it out our systems and still just show up, we're going to figure this out. And when we get the eyeballs that we want, we'll be the biggest podcast in this space, period.
Man, let them know, Dips. Let them know. No, I'm just, like, listening to Dips talk. There's a book that a lot of people got mixed feelings on. I know we read it together, and it was one of Simon's books. I think it was Start With Why.
Start With Why.
So a lot of people feel, yeah, exactly. So some people really jump on board with that, and if you go to a lot of conferences, they'll quote Simon a lot. But I think in this particular circumstance, it kind of, we mirrored, I think, that thought, because despite the challenges, despite the roadblocks, despite the busy schedules and the meetings and the significant others, it went back to like, well, why did we start this podcast? You know what I mean? Like, and I think our why was deeply rooted enough where it powered us to be like, all right, we got to keep this going for those reasons, right? And if you remember, we talked about like on our first couple episodes where it was like the whole background of this podcast kind of came about by accident.
Right.
It was three best friends having a phone call, and at the time I worked for International Airport. I was just having a rough day. I was getting beat up, and I do what I often do. I disappeared and I called the bros. And I called Jeff, and I happened to have him on speakerphone. I'm like, dog, man, this is going on, and this is going on, and blah, blah, blah. And Jeff does what he does. He start pouring into his brothers. Yeah. Bro, you got to get your mind right. You got to, go away and pray if you need to. You got to do this. You got to do that. Yeah. Unbeknownst to me, there was a young cat behind me just happened to hear the whole conversation. And when I hung up with him, love you, bro, call you after work, he tapped me, was like, hey, we need that. Yeah. where can I get some of that at? Because I don't got friends like that.
Right.
And that prompted a phone call to the three of us. Let's get this fired up. Let's get this going. People need this type of content. You know what I mean? But you answered that question though, bro. Like when I got on y'all head, you know, we heard how Dips kind of thought about it. And I know you felt some type of way because a little background, Jeff and I grew up like brothers. And we will get out and fight like brothers. What you saying? Let's go outside. Yeah.
13 years old.
Exactly. So fast forward 20 years, you know what I mean? What was your thoughts that
does that face? Like,
like,
be like, and when you gonna say nothing, it just be like,
I'm gonna process this. Yeah.
Nah,
but
bro,
we're here though, so I know you did something with it. So like,
nah, like I felt a certain way about it. And I wasn't like, yo, I'm taking accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, who this Negro talking to like this, dog? Like, I ain't his son. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like I felt conviction,
Mm-hmm.
I felt anger, then I felt frustration, and I felt it all within a matter of seconds.
Mm.
And even down to where like you guys know, and I know it's a running joke, but it's not a joke, dog. I hate text messages.
Yeah.
Like
for the record, you're the worst texter.
Thanks for telling me that.
Bro.
Like,
telling me, I didn't know that.
Bro, I hate it.
Yeah.
If you gotta reach me, give me a call, and I would rather like get on the phone for a minute and be like, yo, J.O., this is what we dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I need. Like, get to me. And that's just me. I'm like that with everybody. I hate texting because I'm like, man, I'm texting all this, and then I'm like, man, I could just pick up the phone and be like, yo, but then again, like we all in meetings and we doing those different things, right? So I hate text messages, and then or sometimes I do ghost texts where it's like I've already replied in my mind.
Yeah, but you didn't put send.
That's what you told me yesterday. You were like, bro, I said we were good. I was like, no, you didn't.
You're right.
My bad, dog.
So in my mind, I had already sent out the text message, but I'll pick up the phone and then I'll see it. I'm like, okay, I'll respond, but I don't respond. The days happen. I've already responded in my head.
Right.
And so when you hit me, bro, you have this tendency, dog, where, and I know, like if you in a group text with any of your friends, maybe, hey, y'all tapping in the comments, and please don't make your boy seem like I'm by myself on this one. But you got this thing where, you know, every now and then we on our own we on our text thread and we got an IG thread.
Yeah.
And so on the IG, we sending videos, we sending memes, or we sending updates. And so I be catching myself finding something that's funny. And I want to hit send, but I'm like, dang, I ain't messaged the bro in the text message.
Yeah.
But here's why. Wait. Here's why I hesitate. Because I know if I send a meme in our group and I hit back on when we gonna schedule,
Here come Cam. So that's what we doing?
Here go Cam.
That's what we doing? I know you seen the text, bro.
Cam gonna get on the text thread like, dog, you need to start text message, answer. Like, that's it. That's all they gonna say. Or they'll say something slick like accountability or follow through. And that's it, those one-word joints. And so, so then I catch myself when I want to send something, I don't, because I know I ain't replied. But
I appreciate the transparency.
you're gonna say, hey, honesty and transparency in this episode.
Yeah.
So when you text me and you text that, it was like a call-up moment. Like, bro, you ain't showing up. And that's what I heard. What I heard was the conversation underneath the conversation that says, you ain't showing up. And when you hear that from your brothers, when you hear that from somebody who got skin in the game, like my first reaction was like, hold up, who you talking to?
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like that's a lot of our reactions when we have people who hold us accountable. We don't ever become who we're supposed to be because we take that accountability as throwing shade or talking. And so my immature side immediately was like, hold on, dog. And then the mature side kicked in like, no, this is accountability. And then it was like, okay, guys, yo, let's schedule this every third Thursday. We hit to the studio.
Yeah, we figured it out.
Yeah, we gonna figure it out. But I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that moment. And it brings me to this, okay, Dips, I'm gonna drop this on because I told Cam, like, I ain't gonna drop everything. I want to hear like raw answers. I don't want nothing rehearsed, but I had to show him I'm a huge fan of Hard Knocks. Like Hard Knocks, HBO, if you listening, holla at your boy. Like but I I love that show.
It's mindset, bro.
It's
That whole show is
mindset.
mindset.
It's mindset, and it's watching people who are in camp.
Mhm.
It's okay, you've reached the pinnacle. You've been drafted by the NFL. You got an invite from a team. Now it's just because you got the invite and you got the open door doesn't mean you solidified your space on that 32-man roster.
Come on.
Yeah.
And so now I'm watching the people go through the summer camp. I'm watching them go through, training camp. I'm watching the ones who this was their dream, but they didn't show up. And I'm thinking in my head what I would have wished back when I played football was like, dude, you had an opportunity.
Mhm.
And you didn't, I would have been training like crazy if I had that opportunity.
You were cold.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but
Mhm.
because I didn't have that follow through, I didn't have that discipline. Oh, I was disciplined in all the wrong things.
Right.
I was consistently inconsistent.
Yeah.
And I think that was pretty good.
That was fire, bro.
That's crazy.
I
I
don't
one of them
wanna
buttons.
pass.
That's the problem. You don't press no
Dog, like,
buttons for
hey,
yourself.
hey,
That was a bar. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but I feel like maybe I don't want to pass through that. Like
Mhm.
maybe that's something that you talked about, Dips, about you being consistent.
Mhm.
And I feel like we don't ever battle consistency. I think
Mm.
we're constantly consistent, but we're consistent in things sometimes that hurt us to our detriment. And I feel like I was consistently inconsistent. I was consistently selective in my efforts, which led me to not hitting marks in my life that I could have been somewhere. I was good enough to go there, but
Mhm.
because of that, I wasn't there. And which brings me to this point. And the Hard Knocks are current season of Chicago Bears. And so the head coach of Chicago Bears brings in his coach, Coach Saban from Alabama. And so Coach Saban is talking about, USC alumni, Caleb Williams fight on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he brings him in, he says, yo, the biggest problem that you're going to have with somebody who's got this hype, number one pick draft in the NFL, is the hype and the expectation is so big, it's impossible. And he said, and he's like, the goal is development. Year one, you struggle. Year two, you struggle.
Mhm.
And then he said that Peyton Manning's rookie year, he threw 28 interceptions, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was like a record.
Yeah, still to this day, the
Yeah.
most interceptions thrown by a rookie. And he said, the word is discipline or development. And this is what he said. And I think this sums up what you're saying in the long run of it.
Mm.
He said, it is human nature to be average and to just want to survive.
Mm.
And to be great goes against human nature. And he said, every once in a while, you got those people who are going to go and do great, who got their whole package, they got the mentality. But for the most part, you got to develop greatness. And I didn't realize, even now, it's just at 37 years old, I'm going to be 38 in a couple months. I'm recognizing my whole life, my biggest battle has been a battle against average, which is human nature. And so when you checked me, you checked my human nature.
Mhm.
And I didn't like the way that felt initially. And then
Mhm.
greatness kicked in and it was like, show up.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to like unpack from that. The first thing is, I think I've learned over the years, you really have to vet the voices that you allow to speak into your life.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I think coming from an environment where a lot of people come from, where you're in survival mode for so many years, it's like I have to check everything that comes my way, right? Because if I don't,
Mm.
it could be perceived as weakness.
Mm.
It could be perceived as you're running me.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I think it's kind of like we put that shield up and you have that ego and, but I think with maturity is when we start to begin to realize that there are certain voices, if vetted properly, where it's not coming from a place of criticism. It's not coming from a place of punking you, but it's coming from a place of love.
Mm.
And I think that's a challenge within itself. It almost takes a skill set to be able to differentiate the two. And I think like you almost have to ask yourself when someone says something that maybe rubs you the wrong way, like you said, that immediate reaction might be like, man, hold up. But I think if you can get yourself to a place and have this mindfulness where you can say, where is that coming from though?
What's the
Is it coming because you're trying to break me down? Or is it coming because you're trying to pick me up? And I think if you can vet that, your reaction is going to follow suit. So when I reach out to my brothers, and you guys do the same to me, it's like I have a dead ear to a lot of people. Cam, you don't answer. Cam, you act like you don't want to be bothered. But when my brothers say something, because I've vetted these voices, like, okay, let me hear you out.
That's so good.
Let me hear you out, because I know it's coming from love. I don't have to question where it's coming from.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you call me and you say, Cam, we don't move like that. Or you say, Cam, I'm disappointed in you. I'm all ears. But the other, bro, you don't even know me. Don't come at me like that, bro. But I'm all ears when you check me on it. And I think it comes from two different places. One, I vetted that voice. But two, the people that you love and the people you allow in your circle, they become examples. They become a form of a big brother, almost an idol, if you will, right? And we had a conversation about this too. There's so many things that I'm weak in that you're strong in. There's things that we struggle with that Dips has excelled in. And I think that's what makes this brotherhood so strong, because there's things Dips will call and say, hey, Cam, what do you think about this? And I'll vet him out and I'll say, I think we should move like this. We do the same thing. And there's times, whether it's about business acumen or whether it's health related, it's like, yo, let's three-way Dips real quick. Let's get him on the phone. But I say all that to say, I think that's what makes this brotherhood. And I think that's what makes this show. And I think if you don't have someone in your life that can call you out on your BS, you don't have the right people in your circle.
So Dips, he talked about being like I mean, God, Lee, I love this episode, dude. He talked about so many different things about vetting those voices. Dips, how would you say, how do you vet voices, bro? Because you are the type of cat that is you strong, like, bro, you stand on business. Like, that's what they say.
And questions everything.
Right. You question it, like,
This gonna question everything.
Everything.
It's not like, okay, cool, let's roll with it. It's like, no, hold on, let's do our research. Let's dig into it and find out.
Yeah, like you real, and you gonna come back, you gonna ask that. So how do you vet? You're very strong-willed, and there's people out here right now who are watching us, and they're very strong-willed, and they have a belief, and they're strong in their beliefs. For somebody who's always strong in their beliefs, one of the things that I've watched that I've always loved is you'll come in strong, and then the moment you recognize
that is wrong,
you'll shift. So how do you vet voices to where you can even hear that? What's the process of vetting voices for you?
First, when I hear from someone that I love a counter argument, I go into my normal like survival mode as well. And it hurts more than I think it would hurt other people, because it's just like, I love you. I want that respect from you. I was working with an NBA player one time who had this way of thinking that got him to the NBA. And like Einstein says, the way of thinking that got you here isn't the way of thinking that's going to take you to the next level.
Wow.
But how do you tell someone who's more so successful that they got to change their thinking to go to that next level? That's something that's extremely hard to do. And
because that success got them there.
Because that success,
or what they did
got them there. Right?
Yeah.
And everything's kind of on this like efficiency bell curve. So I work out efficient for me, but if someone else works out like me, that's overtraining, right? And I wanted more love in my life, and I wasn't efficient in that, and you're efficient in that. So I pour into you the health stuff, you pour into me the relationship stuff, and that's why the balance here with us is so great, because Cam's gonna pour in like, hey, this you gotta do with your money. And I think dialogue
We literally on that conversation the way up here. I was laughing. Yeah.
And I think the dialogue between people you love who really care, because some people would just throw stuff at you just because they want to argue. But I think the best example or analogy I heard was Jim Rohn. He said, if your worst enemy put sugar in your coffee, what would happen to you? And he say nothing. But if your best friend pour poison in your coffee, what would happen to you? You would die. And he said, life is both sugar and poison. And rule number 2 is watch your coffee. And so what I took that is you just got to question everything and look at it with your own eyes. And I'm often wrong, but never in doubt. But as soon as I get some information where I'm like, oh, you was off, you was wrong about that, I don't mind being being wrong. Be like, hey, I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
And I think some people just, it's threatening to them when they have to admit they're wrong. For me, it's not threatening. It might take me, a day or 2 weeks. Hey, dog. Hey, dog. You were right. But that vetting process, there's some people already locked in. Like y'all locked in, my dad's locked in, my girl's locked in. Some people are locked in to where I override all that and I'm going to listen regardless. And then everyone else, I'll look for myself. Like, are you going to read the books? Are you going to search online? Like even with something as polarizing as this election coming up, right? You know what I'm saying? You got one side saying this, one, everything is so hyperbolic on both sides, but get the information yourself, make the decision yourself. And here's the real key. You got to take responsibility for whatever decision you make.
Oh, that's good, bro.
Because
that's big, bro.
A financial advisor knows more about money than I do. But if I take his advice and lose all my money, I automatically want to get mad at him. No, I should have still made the decision because at the end of the day, I got to live with the result. So like Cam always says, receive counsel.
Yeah.
But make the decision yourself.
Yeah, and that's so big, man. I love that. Especially, you actually reminded me of that seeking counsel part. There's a difference in getting counsel and advice. I think a lot of people don't understand the difference, but like if advice is asking someone, should you do something when they have no insight or knowledge to give you any type of insight on that, right?
They just talk.
Yeah, so it's like I can go to, I don't know, this can come to me and say, hey, how do I write a #1 fitness book? I've never written a fitness book. I don't know. So I can give you my advice, and I'd say, if you say, hey, should I write the book? No, don't write it. It sounds like a lot of work. That's advice, right? But counsel is like going to someone who's been successful in something that you want to do, and asking them to share with you the blueprint of that.
Are you pulling up the scripture? I'm thinking about it.
Nah, go. I'm.
What you got?
No, just keep y'all on it. I'm looking up something. I'm gonna find it, but
I think because a lot of us have authority biases as well. And if you let authority bias be your vetting process, a lot of times you can end up in a bad place. The third leading cause of deaths in America is iatrogenic, which means doctor induced, right? And so you might go to the doctor and the doctor tells you to do this and then it works out bad for you. And then you might blame the doctor, but did you get the information yourself? Did you search everything? Did you get a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion?
Right.
If I go to the doctor a lot of times and my doctor walks in and he's like overweight, I'm like, yo, you can't even.
You're not qualified.
I'm like, hey.
Give me anything. But
I'm gonna still listen to what they say.
Yeah.
But since I have to make the decision myself, I want as many data points, as many data sets as possible to come up with the outcome that I desire.
You said something. I was trying to look it up on my phone. I'm gonna paraphrase it because I went to this lunch, and this lunch had some of the wealthiest people I had ever been around. I met the Ritz-Carlton in Laguna, and we were having this lunch, and this man was personally mentored by Jim Rohn, like personally. And he said he was sitting in the front row at one of his events, and he says, whatever you have, and I'm going to paraphrase this, but he said, whatever you have, wherever you are, wherever you're going, he said, you deserve exactly what you have. Wherever you have, wherever you're going, you deserve whatever it is you have. So if your life is terrible, you deserve that. If you're broke, you deserve that right now. And it's because whatever you will have, wherever you are in your life, if you're not taking accountability for what you don't have and where you are, you have no power. So you're relegating all of your power to somebody else, all of your power to the economy, the circumstance, whether it's a donkey or an elephant, whether it's a political party, whether it's, your past or your childhood or whatever it is. And I've just been really bent on this idea of taking extreme ownership and understanding that I have the amount of money I have. I am where I am. I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing emotionally because I deserve it. And I think we live, and I put this in another podcast I was in like 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I said, I'm tired of people complaining about what they have, where they're not, how you look, like fitness wise, trying to say, oh, I am where I am and I'm just going to love my body. But what you're doing is you're making an excuse to remain unhealthy because you don't want to take ownership of that, or you saying, oh, I'm just on my journey of growth and that's why I keep snapping. No, you keep snapping because you ain't did what you need to do to get yourself in order to get, to get where you need to go. And I said, we got too much help, too many dope podcasts like Bros to Men, too many incredible leaders, too many incredible things through social media that we can use to build ourselves up, to gain more wealth. Yeah, it's all there. And so if we don't take extreme ownership for the life we have, what we have, the relationship we have, how terrible your marriage is, or how terrible you are as a parent, we have zero excuse as to why we can't change. And so coming into all of this, Dips, you saying what you're saying, Cam, you sharing what you're sharing, how I felt about the comment that you made was like, yo, there's no excuse for why you're choosing mediocrity other than we've decided to fight against human nature.
Yeah.
Like, just sitting on that is like,
that's crazy.
It is human nature, he said, to be average and to just try to survive. And so how many of us are choosing to be average in our jobs, average in our marriages, average in our parenting, average with our businesses? And the goal of your business is not to make as much money as you can make. It's, can I just survive? And I feel like God in his word says, I've come to give you life and give you life more abundantly. That word abundantly, that when God said I came to give you life and life more abundantly, that means excess, superfluous. Like there is nothing about God that is average. And if we were created in his image, there should be nothing about our life that is average. 1 Peter 2, 9 through 12. He says, you are a chosen generation. Like you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood. And he goes on to say, stop being a part of and entertaining things that dishonor who you are and that war against your soul. And so he was trying to get, like Paul was talking, and even in that moment, it was like, yo, look, you guys are warring against the things in your life that are warring against your soul. That's your mind, will, emotions, and your imagination, how you view yourself, right? So our average normal capacity is to go against the things that would actually bring us into greatness, that would bring us into that great relationship. Yeah. Would you say we naturally want to go to the path of least resistance?
Yeah.
Right. And so anytime we're going to become great, anytime you're going to become excellent in what you're doing, we got to fight against that urge to go against the path of, take the path of least resistance.
Yeah. It's going against like
familiarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like and I think that's a struggle, man, because I think to piggyback off what you're saying, it's not what feels natural. Yeah. It's not what feels easy. And I think I really kind of loved what Dip said too, because your current habits and your current mindsets, right, and your current day to day is only gotten you to this point. Yeah. So it'd be foolishness to think that you can continue those same habits to get you past where you are right now.
Boy.
And I think that just kind of encompasses a whole realm of other things like growth and self-improvement and development, but more importantly, part of discipline. And I think I think there's an acknowledgement of like being uncomfortable that you have to get comfortable with. Yeah. And I think that's what's so tough for us. I think that's what's so tough about relationships. Like you're going to go through a whole bunch of no's and a whole bunch of this isn't my person until you get to that one who is. Even you're going for your dream job, you're going to get a bunch of no thanks before you get the we'll give you a shot. We'll give you an opportunity. Yeah. And I think it's those no's. And those moments of self-doubt and those moments when you're alone and you're behind closed doors and you have those moments of doubts and can I really do this? I've convinced all these other people, but maybe you haven't even convinced yourself yet. Yeah. And I think that's tough to do.
And I think that's the key, is convincing yourself. I think when I really make things simple, because this is complex, but complexity is just simplicity multiplied. Is It's a game of how you feel about yourself and how you communicate to others. Because others have everything you want, but you're not gonna step out to communicate and put yourself out there unless you feel good or are secure about how you feel with yourself. So I think when Cam said admitting to yourself what you are, even though it feels like you're not that, I think if you just use that syntax, use those words, and create a future truth, like this is what I am. Like I might be 30 pounds overweight, but I'm chiseled up, and then just go do the work, right? If, for example, if I told you that I'm a multimillionaire, I would be lying to most people's eyes. But if I'm 60 and I become a multimillionaire, I was true my whole life that I said that, because I've been Roy my whole life. So it's at that moment, and at the end of the day, I think that's what brings it back around to what this podcast ended up developing to be about. Is we got back in here.
Yeah,
We stayed on it.
I love that. And Jeff and I have this thing, man. Sometimes I call Jeff like, I don't know, like what, 7 in the morning, bro? But sometimes I'm just sitting in traffic. And I know we all have like those thinking places. Some people's on the toilet. Some
Jeff be
people
up
is
early.
Man, for me,
morning
bro-
person like a mug.
bro. For me, it is in the car. I don't know what it is about being in the car at 7:05 in the morning where stuff just starts hitting me. And I'm like one of those people where I don't need buy-in, but I like calling the people who I have vetted to ask, am I tripping? Like, hear me out real quick, right? And only person I know will be able to morning, like I am at 7 a.m. is Jeff. And he'll be like, hey, bro, what's up? Morning, like bright-eyed, bushy, like he's ready to go.
Killer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, bro. So it's funny that we have this conversation going on, because as early and as recent as this morning, I called Jeff. And I'm thinking, and I'm in traffic. I'm like, bro, I'm chewing on this thought about this recoding, right? And this growing that we always have to do in life. So I started like unpeeling these layers. And a lot of times, like when I know I have someone that's listening and also trying to help me peel back the layers, it helps me like talk my way through it. Because I know they're gonna start interjecting and asking questions. Exactly. Like, all right, I'm gonna call Jeff. We're gonna figure this thing out. So I'm telling Jeff this morning, I'm like, bro, I'm realizing that we live in this life of like scarcity and being average and playing defense, and being in survival mode for so many years of our life. And then when you get to this point where life starts getting good, life starts getting better, the things that you once only thought about and dreamed of are finally coming to fruition, and you can put your hands on them. Maybe it's the girl, maybe it's the job, maybe it's the bank account, whatever it is. It's like, damn, I remember when I was just praying for this, right? So I think when those things start happening, you have to do this mindset shift at that point. And the reason why I say that is because when you come from a background of scarcity and things always going wrong, and there's always loss followed by before happiness and all this type of stuff, right? I think you have to put yourself in a place where you just have to sit in it and say, this feels good. Like I'm finally thankful. Like my life has finally come full circle. We talk about this full circle thing a lot. And the reason why I say that is because I think if you fail to do so, you'll live in this mindset where you're subconsciously telling yourself it's just a matter of time. This feels good, but it's just a matter of time before she leaves. That feels good. I'm enjoying this job, but it's just a matter of time before they let me go because the last one did, right? The last relationship that had me feeling like this, it ended 3 months later. You know, the last time I got in shape, I gained the weight back 3 months later. You'll always walk around with this cloud over you where it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. Don't get too happy. Don't enjoy it too much. It's only here. It's short term, not long term, that type of thing. So for me, at 37 years old, I'm trying to just bask in this moment of like, it feels good. It feels good. Like, this is what I worked for, right? Like, everything I have is because I've worked my butt off for it. And everything I don't have is because I didn't work my butt off for it.
Or
right?
or you may be working your butt off for it, but it's just not the right time.
Timing.
It's in progress, right?
Yeah, it's in progress. That's
so
good.
for
You
me,
gotta touch on that. The progress.
yeah,
Even though you feel like I ain't got it.
Like we talked about that being in the hallway, right? Or being in that waiting room.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just like mindset again.
Yeah.
Because you can't, I think for me, you can't step into new seasons with last season's mindset.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
you can't be in moments of joy and happiness with reminders of what it felt like when you had nothing. So for me, in this season, it's basking in gratefulness and gratitude and love and everything else while ridding old habits, ridding old mindsets,
Mhm.
and things that prevented me from being in this moment.
Yeah.
So it's like now that we're here,
Mhm.
what do we need to do to keep it?
If you're, and I want to say this in preferences, if you're watching the podcast right now, we've been really just developing and even talking about this idea of us being new to this podcast space, but really it seems like in this dance, we're realizing the lessons that this podcast
Yeah.
is even teaching us, the power of consistency, the power of accountability. And we're kind of been in this dance of discovery here on this podcast. So if you guys are here, we want to thank you for even tapping in with us and dancing with us and really encouraging as you're watching this, man. Where can you find yourself in these stories? Where can you find yourself in what we're doing as we're talking about accountability? Who are those friends in your life who are calling you up to higher levels and you may have cut them off because you didn't think that they were helping you or you thought they were attacking you, but they were really tapping into who you are. The areas where you're like, man, attrition, like I'm going to continue to do it until I wear this thing down every single day, or having that mindset of reprogramming your mind and saying, man, I prayed for this moment. I prayed for these opportunities. I prayed for this relationship. And now that you got it, what it takes to maintain it, you don't like. And so sometimes we pray for those things. We ask for those relationships, those promotions, that business, that job. God goes, okay, here it is. And now you're more in love with the idea of having it than you are with who I have to become to maintain it and keep it.
That's what I call a status person versus a growth person. A status person gets to this level of status and then it's like, oh, I reached here and then that's it. And they don't continuously grow. And then the world around them grows and then they get frazzled and realize, oh, I got to grow again to keep my status.
Man.
I remember when I had, when I was doing at my best, had just got the crib. I had put up a camera in the crib so I could see everything. And I was looking at myself sit on the counter in the camera on my phone. And I remember I had this moment of like, is this it? Like, bro, like it took you really just like a few months of focus to get this. And then I wasn't grateful. I was like, I just had this thought like, this ain't it. Something's off. And I think that was just God calling me to grow and chase more of what I wanted to do and not more of what looked like success for me. You know what I mean?
I love that. Listen to you say that, Dips, to something coming to me, and it's like, it took who you are to get what you currently have, but it's going to take someone you've never been to keep it.
Ooh.
That's a bar.
Yeah.
I wanna say, ooh.
Bars. Yes, sir.
Like, it took who we are in this moment to have the things we currently have, but it's going to take someone you've never been in order to keep it.
Hallelujah.
That's it, bro.
That's it.
That's what Einstein was saying, but you said it better.
That's literally
it.
what it is. Like, you can't take the person you currently are, the person you were, and think that equates to growth. Like, no, it was enough to get you what you currently have. But those things that you still desire and yearn for, it's going to take you to become someone you've never been.
So that means it's not what you have that takes you to the next level. The question is not what do I need to have? It's who do I need to
Who do
become?
I need to become? That's the question of life for every season. Who do I need to become?
Who I need to become. All right, we there. All right, now who do I got to become? to
That's
get
so
there?
nasty.
And
Because
it
you never arrive.
stops. It's
You never
existentialist.
arrive because it's constantly evolving. Because you'll become the person you need to be to get the things you want next season, and then you'll have a new set of goals.
Boy.
So things are always changing.
And I think that's what I teach my clients. I tell them identity is never fixed. It's always fluid. Because once you become one person, now you hit that level. Now you got to become somebody else. The Bible says we go from glory to glory to glory.
It's an evolving cycle.
That's how we have to do. We have to, and there's never a place called there because once you get to there,
There's another there, ready.
you're here. So then that means you got to get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. And so let me ask you this, fellas. We've been in this dance about consistency, about life, about new endeavors. We've been honest and transparent about our journey of us trying to find the system to stay consistent because people are counting on us.
Yeah.
There are people who watch our show who are counting on us. They're counting to get that notification. Bros to Men just dropped a new podcast. And we see it. We have our studio, we got producer, we got everybody that's helping us, rallying behind us. We got a whole group of people behind us that are telling us you can do it. And I'm gonna look right here in this camera. If you don't have anybody on your corner being able to back you up, telling you can do it, me, Dips, and Cam are telling you right now you got what it takes.
On your head.
You got it. We are on your bumper. You need to become great.
Yep.
Anything less than that is not an option for you. Anything less than your best is not an option. Anything less than you getting everything that God has created you to get is not an option. So we're telling you you are enough. We're telling you that you have it in you, and we're telling you you got to go get it, and you got to go get it now. So there you go. You needed your permission. God gave it to you, and we co-signed on what God did. You got to go out and get it. But for my brothers here in this journey, if we had to dial this thing down, if we had to look at somebody today and share a sentence of what this podcast has taught us, that they could copy and paste it into their life, what would that sentence be? Depths, I'm starting off with you.
I'm gonna just go a couple words. Compared to who? If you're not where you want to be, and you feeling like down because you're not where you want to be, just ask yourself, compared to who? There's people who would love to be where you want to be. And then if you get to the point where I'm the man, I got that status, I'm this, I'm that. Compared to who? Because there's people at another level that you need to get to. So I think no matter where you are in life, I think gratitude and growth lie within that question that you can ask yourself at any time. Oh, I'm not making the 30K a month that I want to make, 100K a month that I want to make. Compared to who? Oh, I'm only making a couple grand and I have this job that gets on my nerves. Compared to who? There's plenty of people who would take that job in a hot second. So wherever you are in life, if you are a status person and you got that status and you need to shake yourself into growth, just ask yourself compared to who. And if you aren't where you want to be and you're in a season of working and struggle and chasing that new identity of where you want to be, just ask yourself compared to who.
That's gold.
Yeah, I like that.
Cam, what you got, bro?
Man, this conversation actually reminds me of something we said in a different episode. I think you even went deeper with it on your Instagram page. And it was, if what you see is not what you saw, the work ain't done. You know what I mean? And it's, I think it's very...
Wait, say that one more time.
If what you see is not what you saw, then the work's not done. And I think...
I had to give it that, bro.
When we talked about this podcast for the first time, we talked about the possibilities. We talked about what it could look like after years of hard work, the lives that it would impact, or maybe just the one life that it'll impact, right? And how we would be satisfied with that as long as we were able to take our experiences and our stories and others found value in them. So I think when we looked at the biggest embellished dream that we can think of in regards to this podcast, we don't see it yet. The work ain't done. So we back in the lab, Solomon, we cooking. What you got?
Boy, I freaking love that, bro.
You got to go after that. Hey, Solomon, take what he said and edit it to the last.
Hey, use CGI and make it my face. Use AI and give it my face, man. Check your consistency. And recognize that everybody is consistent.
Come on.
It just may be that you're consistent in the wrong thing.
You're consistent in something.
Everybody's consistent in something. You are consistently eating terrible.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Yeah.
And so you are consistently putting on weight. You are consistently angry. And so you're doing nothing about it because you're choosing to be consistent in anger. So let's shift our consistency. Let's begin to become consistent in the things that are going to bring us growth, consistent in the relationships that are going to empower us, consistent in the things that are going to bring our spiritual walk closer to God, consistent in the things that are going to make a difference in your life, and choose what that is. Be aware of what that is and look at your life right now. Give yourself credit that you're consistent, but you just might be consistent in the wrong thing. And when you tap into where we got to be consistent in, like we did with this podcast, then you're going to start seeing consistent wins.
I love that. I got one question that I want to leave our viewers with. And that's...
Wait, look at the camera.
Hold on. Where we at, Solomon? Where we at? We right here? Okay.
There you go.
Who have you vetted in your life that's calling you to a higher standard? If you have not vetted the person who is speaking to you and requiring you to step out of your comfort zone and to become someone you have never been, it's time to cut ties and find those right people.
Boy, with that being said, we're going to drop the mic right there. Fellas, it's been good to be back. We're going to clap it up. Yo, we want to thank you guys for tapping in to another episode of the Bros to Men podcast. Until next time, remember this, that where you are isn't who you are, because who you are is greater than where you are. Love y'all.
Love y'all. Peace.